Bis hier.
There? Yeah.
We'll give the right. We'll leave it more. Yeah.
Okay. I'm not as big as you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to put on the earphones if you need a translation. We will do this media briefing in English, but of course you have Portuguese, you have Spanish, you have German, you have French translations, so feel free to put on your earphones now. Welcome to this media briefing dedicated to the technical study group. It's not the first time we are sitting in front of you, but now the last time for this World Cup, talking about this beautiful game. The analysis done by this gentleman, by this team, which I'm going to introduce you in a moment. I mean, some of them, they don't need to be introduced, but of course we're doing that. And this is exactly the topic we have here this afternoon. We speak about the work of the TSG during the whole World Cup, speaking about tactical, technical analysis done by this team, and you will hear a lot of interesting things, I can guarantee you all right now. So let me introduce this fantastic table. We have in the middle Arsene Wenger, FIFA Chief of Global Football Development. Bonjour Arsene.
Bonjour, bonjour.
We have Pascal Zuberbühler, which is a FIFA senior football expert, and he was the leader of the TSG during the World Cup. Grüezi, Pascal.
Hello.
Hello. Then next to Pascal, we have Pablo Zabayeta from Argentina, TSG member. We have the World Cup winner, 1990 from Germany, Jürgen Klinsmann. World Cup winner, 2002 with Brazil, Gilberto Silva. And last but not least, Michael O'Neill, Northern Ireland, and member of the TSG during that World Cup. I said it before, we have the translations. Again, we will do after the official part a Q&A session speaking about what these gentlemen are explaining to you. So take the opportunity to ask the questions about the topics you're going to hear in the next minutes. We don't do one-to-one interview due to the fact that this team has to go back to the hotel because, you know, there is a bronze match in Miami. Due to traffic, due to weather, they need to be on time in their room. So that's all from my side. My name is Giovanni Marti. I'm your moderator today, and I pass the floor to Arsene Wenger. Please.
Thank you very much, Giovanni. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you all for attending here and sharing with us what we have found out in this first 48 World Cup that was questioned before it started. We found that it was ethically needed to give a chance to everybody or to more teams to represent football. And overall, I'm convinced that it was the right decision and it was a great success. We want to share with you what we have seen. As Giovanni underlined it's technical study group. That's people around me who are qualified and have a great experience to analyze visually the game. And we analyze as well by collecting the data by a team who is led by Tom Gardner, who will intervene as well. And we confront the two visions to get to conclusions. We are happy to share these conclusions with you and as well get your questions, because we are not immune to mistakes as well. But we are happy to have your opinion as well about all the aspects that we will show you. So I think the first impact, Giovanni.
Yes, we have to introduce the next person, Arsene, you're right. It's Tom Gardner. He is the lead of Football Performance Insights, a very important man who is giving us some explanation to each and every topics we are going to speak. We want also to welcome all people sitting at home in front of a screen or in the office, wherever you are. Hello here from New York, and thanks to join us. So let's start definitely. Arsene, do you want to say something about the impacts of the new rules? Or Tom, is there something first from your side to explain? Please, Tom.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. So one of the first things that the technical study group have been looking at, obviously before the tournament, there were some changes made to the laws of the game. So we wanted to further understand what the impact of those changes were on the match and on performances that we've seen. So firstly, we looked at the duration of time taken for goal kicks, so the time between the ball leaving play and then the goal being restarted by a goal kick. We saw that in 2022 and 2025, over a quarter of goal kicks took greater than 30 seconds. And since the rule change, that number has now dropped down to 12%. Secondly, we looked at the rule change involving the requirement for a player to take a minute off the field if medical attention is required. So we looked at the number of times there's been medical staff or medical intervention on pitch. And we can see that the number of medical interventions on pitch has dropped from an average of 2.3 in 2022 to 1.6 in 2026. And I think these back up the observations of our technical study group with regards to how we're seeing the game played now.
Thank you, Tom. Just Giovanni, I would like to add, there's an element in this impact of the rules that is not measurable. That is the frustration you feel when somebody lies on the pitch and is not injured. And I believe I asked so many people, what do you think of the impact? And everybody was so positive about it. And it's not measurable only by time, but as well by the fact they're not frustrated anymore by knowing that people are on the pitch and just try to cheat the game. And we come out of this World Cup by having that feeling. I don't believe that it's measurable, but it's effective. The pleasure we have at watching the game is improved because we don't see that anymore.
So these are the most important comments from your side regarding this impact of the law change. Thank you very much, Arsene. We go on to the next topic, and we have, of course, two final teams tomorrow, which is Spain and Argentina. We take some considerations of both teams, and we start with Spain. Tom.
Yeah, so throughout the tournament, we've obviously been looking at all teams, but especially ahead of the final tomorrow. I want to present to you our initial findings on both Spain and Argentina. So firstly, just to start with Spain, we identified three key tactical topics for them. The first was the importance of their fullbacks in progression, regularly coming inside, making offers to receive behind the opposition midfield, receiving line-breaking passes behind the opponent's midfield, and even making runs in behind in the inside channels. The second topic was their central rotations and the importance of their midfield as they progress play. And third, we know they're a team who dominate possession, their ability to counter-press, to high-press, and to regain the ball as quickly as possible. We have some data just to back up those observations. So for total inside line breaks, so a pass which breaks the line inside the opponent's team shape, Spain ranked first in the tournament with 388. For offers to receive, so a player actively trying to receive the ball between lines, there's 1,280 in the tournament, which again is the highest of any team in the tournament. They also ranked top for high turnovers with 11 per 30 minutes out of possession, and second for defensive pressures within 8 seconds of a possession turnover. So that importance of counter-press, within 8 seconds of them losing the ball, they get pressure on the ball very quickly, and they rank second in the tournament for that. But with Michael, we've been studying Spain a lot, and I know he'd like to share the observations with you as well.
Yes, Michael, please.
Yeah, we've seen Spain's fullbacks be very influential in the tournament, both from a defending side of things, but also more from the attacking side. Both Cucurella and Pedro Porro have got very advanced and created a lot of problems for the opposition in the inside channel. They have strong partnerships with their wide players respectively, and we've also seen Cucurella have 2 assists and Pedro Porro with 2 goals. So they've been very, very influential in terms of the Spanish attacking side of things, but also in the France game we saw their defensive side and slightly adjusted position, which gave Spain control of the game and obviously made it very difficult for France to penetrate in the game as well.
So we are curious to see how Spain will play tomorrow. We do the same thing with the opponents, of course. And Tom, please, some considerations regarding Argentina.
Yeah, so again, we've been studying Argentina throughout the tournament. The 3 key tactical elements that we see standing out for them. First is their ability to progress the ball centrally. So rather than use wide areas, we see Argentina play a lot of vertical passes, trying to break lines in central areas. They also have a great ability to use width in the pitch against a low block. So when teams try and deny that space in the center of the pitch, they're very capable to use the width, and especially in the England game, De Paul holding the width with Messi then able to find spaces to make crosses. And lastly, they have a very solid transition game. So they're aggressive with their defensive line when they're in possession, but they're also willing to make big defensive recoveries whenever they need. And as before, just a couple of data points to support those observations. So they have the longest possession length in the tournament, so 14.6 seconds, showing that patience that they have to then try and find spaces in the middle. They rank second for line breaks through the opposition, so when they break a line directly through their opponent, and they're highest for the proportion of final third entries which come in a central channel. So when we look at all 5 channels of the pitch, Argentina rank highest for final third entries in a central channel. And that's something, Pablo, that's really stood out to you in how Argentina attack.
Yeah, thank you, Tom. Well, we cannot forget that this team been playing together for almost 4 or 5 years. They know each other, and yeah, it was quite obvious in this World Cup. What we've been observing from Argentina is how they, by having those midfielders in the central area, how they've been able to keep the ball for so long during the game and keep in possession, being patient, as Tom mentioned before, and always trying to manipulate the position to find, especially Messi in between line, to then make the things happen. We all know that Messi is still a very important player for this national team, and he was able to fight the right moments, sometimes playing against the low block teams, probably getting the ball more in the wide areas, and then starting from there by combinations around the 18-yard box and finding always the right moment to play the final pass or to score goals. So, like I say, it's been a great performance from Argentina, very clear in the way that they've been approaching the games, and that was obviously a key point for Argentina to reach and to be again in the final.
Thank you very much. Pablo?
Giovanni?
Arsene? Yes, of course.
Yes. Look, before the tournament, we had an idea. We have organized the Under-17 World Cup with 48 teams last year for the first time, and we realized that because of the length of the competition, the teams who went to the final were the team who had the most team attitude, who were more a team than any other team. And that is as well, with all the measures we have here, not really measurable. But I believe that and Spain and Argentina have shown they are more a team than anybody else by getting Argentina, by getting over hurdles that were very difficult. We remember Cabo Verde, Egypt, and all the other teams. They had to with England, for example. And Spain, because they have a style of play that is based on team intelligence and technical quality. So I believe personally that the 2 teams who go to the final give a great message out for our game, because they show how important is technical quality and intelligence, team intelligence, understanding of a game. That's why in a different style, they have one maybe a little bit more of a mental aspect with Argentina, and the other maybe more with a technical aspect like Spain. And that's why it's great for our game to see these 2 teams going into the final.
Thank you, Arsene, for that explanations. We saw incredible goals, some of really incredible goals during this World Cup. So let's have the goals analysis. And Tom, up to you again.
Yeah, just very quickly, we spoke even our media briefing earlier in the tournament about the quality of finishing that we'd seen so far in the tournament, and it's clear to say that that's continued throughout the tournament. So one really interesting stat is the actual proportion of attempts at goal taken from outside the box is very similar between 2022 and 2026, but there's been double the amount of goals scored from outside the box. So we see a similar number of attempts, but the proportion of goals scored from outside the box has jumped from 8% in 2022 doubled up to 16% in 2026. And Jürgen, I know the quality of finishing at this tournament is something that stood out.
Well, obviously, we coaches, are very, very curious to see what kind of initiatives the teams are taking to create chances and to score at the end of the day. We saw throughout the tournament that it became very popular for many, many teams to defend in a low block, which makes it more difficult, obviously, to break through. And then you kind of analyze then, okay, if you go over the wings, you're trying to find solutions, you try to break through the middle, which is there's no space, 8, 9 players are in the box or outside the box. So it is definitely a recipe with shots from the outside. Very difficult, and Zubi can talk about that for the goalkeepers, because if you have 6, 7, 8 players in front of you and they're making shots out of 20 yards, 22 yards, difficult for the goalkeeper still to react. If there's a slight deviation, then even more difficult. So it's something fun for us coaches to watch, because a player that takes the courage to try an outside shot, is courageous and wants to prove a point. We saw some beautiful goals that way, totally increased the double from 22 in Qatar, and it definitely will be a recipe for the future, because many teams will copy the low block going forward in the club teams, in our club competitions around the world. And it's definitely a way then to break that low block is by giving it a try and shoot from the outside the box.
That's the goal analysis, and we go through, because we have a couple of topics to share with you. We pass to the structured high press. Tom Gartner.
So again, we're always very interested as a technical study group on how teams are adapting and how the game is evolving, and some of the ways we see that very clearly and obviously is through set plays. We've seen a real change in how teams are setting up from high pressing situations in goal kicks, especially now from an attacking side. We see the goalkeeper in the middle, often with 2 centre-backs together, and the team who are trying to press have responded. So in Qatar, we saw teams often pressing with 1 striker as their focal point. Now we see that changing to having 2 strikers when they go to engage in a press. So from a visual perspective, we can look at the average positions of players when they initiate that high press, and you can see on the left a clear change to that image to have 2 strikers positioned at either side on the D of the edge of the box, compared to 2022, the image on the right with that 1 central point. So visually, this shows us very clearly that teams have changed their pressing structures to now press with 2 strikers and different variations, ultimately, of a 4-4-2 when pressing. Not only have teams changed their structure, we see that they're having more successful outcomes from when they press, so they become more successful at pressing. We've seen an increase in the amount of times that teams are able to force their opponent long, to force the opponent into distributing a long ball that they don't want to, or an increase in the number of times that they're able to make a possession interruption whilst the team is trying to play out. So either a tackle, a block, or an interception. That proportion has increased, showing teams are becoming more successful at pressing.
Thank you very much, Tom. We have 2 experts on that, but Arsene wants first to say something on that. Please.
Well, it looks that the second striker has to be a guy who is adaptable to a midfield role as well. That means when you close down and the team manages to play through, one of the 2 needs to come back to help midfield. Especially we have tomorrow an example when you play against Spain. If you don't do that, you're outnumbered in the center of the park. And that is very dangerous. We have a player like Olmo who is perfect in this role. And Ødegaard as well. He's good at closing down up front, and as well good by dropping into the middle of the park to help out in midfield. So there's not 2 pure strikers. What Tom is talking about is the structure at the start to stop the opponent to play is 2 central players. But one of the 2 has to maybe be a flexible guy who can do both jobs.
Thank you, Arsene. Gilberto, Michael, your considerations?
Yeah. For me, see the teams who play in this structure 4-4-2, the advantage they have is because they occupy like the most, playable parts of the field, the central area, and now put a lot of players in there where they can have the control of the games, the passing. And when they lose the ball, as I have seen in a couple of the games, immediately they just counter-pressing because they want to have the possession of the ball, which helps a lot because if you drop so much and when you lose the ball, you have to find a way to defend. But the way for them to defend is just counter-pressing because as long as they do it while they are up front, you know, that is, they have an opportunity to create also an opportunity, a chance to score a goal.
Yeah, I think the 4-4-2 shape in the higher press protects the middle of the pitch, as we touched on, but also allows the team in the press to cover the pitch better. I think now for a lot of coaches they have almost like an out of possession shape and an in possession shape, and the 4-4-2 allows them the best opportunity to force the opposition to turn the ball over. But I also think that we've seen teams play over the press quite often in this tournament, and again that the 4 defenders in the back gives the team the opportunity to win the longer pass and also regain possession in the opposition half as well.
Thank you very much. We pass to the next topic, which is the low block to attack, and what it is Tom's explains to you.
So low block was something that we spoke about a lot, especially during the start of the tournament, and it is true that overall during this tournament we've seen an increase in the proportion of out of possession time teams spend in a low block. So that's increased from around 21% to 25% in 2026. But what we've seen really interestingly as we've progressed through the tournament is those teams who are really successful, the teams who have progressed further in the tournament, have been able to use their low block as a rest attack structure to then be able to transition quickly and create opportunities from their own defensive low block. Spain, France and Argentina have all been very impressive at using their low block structure to counter-attack very quickly and to force good opportunities. So overall, whilst it's true that we have seen an increase in the amount of time spent in a low block, we also see the very best teams and our 4 finalist teams, the 4 semi-finalist teams, being very capable at turning a low block into an attacking opportunity.
Tom, just I have a question for you. Like I'm a journalist, you know. Explain us why 4% is a lot.
So
21, I'm tempted to say 21 to 25%, okay, 4 times out of 100. Is that true?
So it's a 4% increase, but if we think of that in the amount of time per match, that probably equates to kind of an extra 3 to 5 minutes per match that teams are spending in a low block. So this is when we look at all of teams' out of possession phases, which includes high press, which includes mid block, which includes high blocks or mid presses as well, and defensive transition. The big change that we've seen in those phases is low block. Interestingly, one of the major changes from Qatar is the drop in mid block and the rise of the low block. So as well as what we're seeing, that 4% increase equating to, like we say, around 3 to 5 minutes per match, it's clear that the defensive line across the tournament has dropped deeper from being a mid block into a low block, which is the more common approach that teams prefer.
That was a nice question, by the way, Arsene. Thank you very much. And there's a big talent also in asking questions. No, joking. Pablo and Gilberto on this topic. Who wants to start?
Well, that was clear that there have been so many teams in this World Cup. They've been using that low block as a way to defend well. Becoming more compact means that, you know, having 10 players behind the ball, they can, you know, also find the way then to go quickly in transitions, and some team, you know, brings numbers in attacking where they can exploit in behind by having strikers or wingers who can actually make those runs in behind, and they can really hurt and win games. So that is a way of, you know, that we have seen teams using quite a lot. Doesn't mean sometimes in football that defending in a low block you're not going to concede goals. That is clear, but well, that's in a World Cup. Some teams they truly believe in this way because they have fast players in front. Sometimes the lack of quality of those teams playing against better team, they believe that they have to defend in that way. But obviously, that was so nice to see how defensively, how well the teams and how prepared they are these days every single team in this tournament defensively. That was something that we've been discussing with the technical study group through the tournament, and very impressed in the team how well they've been defensively.
You know, for a team like France, when they have to be in the low block, one important aspect for me is that because they have like a fast play on the sides, attract the team to a middle block, when they were defending, it's like just create a space in the flanks for the counter-attack. Once they got the ball, immediately they just make the link and switch the ball from one side to another in some occasions, creating space and a very difficult reaction from the defenders, because it's always hard for them to run back towards their goals. France team, they work very well in many occasions because they have the quality of the players, of course, but also they were very fast, create a lot of trouble for the defensive players.
The TSG group made also. You want to add something? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, just to say, as a coach, what is the advantage of a low block? It reduces the distance between your last defender and the goalkeeper, so with less space to play. What is the disadvantage? You are far from your opponent's goal, and we have seen that many times where teams who play low blocks, they had problems to get out of that. I especially think Morocco against France, who was a team who looked to be dangerous against a team like France, but they played a very low block and they could never get out of it, basically, and they paid a heavy price for that.
Thank you. So another important analysis which have been done by the TSG group was the physical analysis. Tom, can you explain us in a short word what is it concerned?
The technical study group don't just look at technical and tactical developments in football, we're also looking at the physical side of the game as well, and are very keen to report that where we can. So what we've seen between 2022 and 2026 is the physical output. It's actually very similar on the metrics that we look at. But as we've just spoken about, we attribute this more to the tactical demands of the game at this tournament rather than player capacity. So we see the increase in time spent in a low block, which is a less physically demanding tactical output than in a mid block, where, as Arsene says, if your line is then beaten, you have a greater distance to recover. So we see it generally being very similar between 2022 and 26. You can see here the differences. This is normalized per 90 minutes, so you might see it slightly lower than you expect, but it's all normalized. That's the reasons why. And you can see the change. Interestingly, one aspect which has increased is the max speed of players on average has gone up by 0.8 kilometers per hour, which might not sound much, but I think the coaches would all agree that that difference and that ability to reach that peak speed could potentially have a huge impact on a game. So this is why we're attributing this not to player capacity, but just to the tactical demands, why we see the outputs being very similar compared to 22.
Pretty interesting, that facts, Arsene.
Yes, this is a very interesting remark from Tom that I do not share, basically, during this tournament. When I see these measures, I felt that during the tournament that didn't reflect what I saw. Because I can explain it by the fact that the teams are more compact, and that's why the distances do not increase from tournament to tournament now, because everybody is well organized. This is a consistent structure that we have seen during this tournament, but I still believe that the explosive side of each player has become vital. And I explain the fact that the Asian teams have gone very early in the tournament because they had a deficit in that explosivity of the individual players. It looks to me that the players do not more distance in high intensity, but the movement they do are quicker. That means the change of direction, the movement, the intensity is higher than before. And if you don't have that, to destabilize your opponent, you're not efficient. And that is not necessarily reflected in the way we measure, for example, the distances. But the explosivity of the players has become highly important.
Jürgen, you want to add something? The players seem to be very good prepared.
He can, because he was explosive.
Of course, yeah.
He was explosive.
Long time ago. No, for us coaches, it's interesting, obviously, to see that the physical output in this tournament is not anywhere further than it was 4 years ago in Qatar. It's kind of similar. It has to do also with the tactical approach, obviously, for many teams, where they need to spend less energy for defending well, to being very, very compact. But the difference maker still today is, for many teams, and especially the Final Four teams, is speed. And that speed comes from individual players, and that comes from their way, how they play in their club teams, and now they were educated throughout their lives, basically. It's fun to watch that a fast player like an Mbappé, obviously, or other ones, can, in a split second, they can make a huge, huge difference. So, yeah, it's something that, for us coaches to follow that is also the fact that to prepare a team for a World Cup of 5.5 weeks is very challenging, because they're playing basically with the teams coming from their club teams. They continue that work, and they have not enough time to add another physical element on top of that work, because it's just not time for it. And this is surprising to us. We also saw that in another factor, that the coaches had no time to study set pieces. We saw very, very little kind of set pieces kind of being built on the training ground, like we often say, because there was no time to integrate that into the training sessions, because they had maybe 2 weeks, 1.5 weeks, 2 weeks, and during the tournament they're not enforcing that. So that was, from my end, a little bit disappointing, actually, that we didn't see any variations, on free kicks, on corner kicks, that really made a difference. But obviously speed is one element where you can hurt anybody in this tournament.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. So now we had some topics for strikers, for defenders, but we haven't touched the goalkeepers. This is now the case. We have 2 topics regarding goalkeeping, starting with the punches, goalkeeper punches. Tom.
So one of the things that's really stood out to our technical study group is the amount of times that the goalkeepers are punching the ball. So we've seen that there's an increase from 0.47 to 0.59 punch attempts per cross, per 60. So we're seeing more goalkeepers try and punch the ball. Now, naturally, we could attribute that to external factors like more crosses, but what we see is that the proportion of times that goalkeepers are attempting punches as all of their interventions has also increased. So this is a clear, deliberate choice by goalkeepers to try and make more punch interventions compared to other types of interventions, and this holds true from crosses, from free kicks, and especially from corners as well.
And there is only one person who can answer here on the table. Pascal, up to you, former Swiss national goalkeeper.
Yeah, it was great to see the goalkeeper's decision making on especially for crossings. Okay, to come out for a cross, you need to be very brave. You need to be you need to have a very great timing and, of course, a very good scanning from the beginning. You need to see the defender, where the opponents, etc. And for this, you need to be ready. And on this tournament, it was really great to see that the goalkeepers were very brave. As Pablo Zabaleta mentioned before, goalkeeper and defender, they need to work together. And the defender, we see on this tournament, the teams were also defending often in a deeper block. But that means for a goalkeeper not that you have to stay behind the goal line. No, the goalkeeper needs to be active. And on this tournament, he have been active. To come out on a high ball, often in my time when I played, you come out and you claim the ball. Today, not anymore possible. The paces from the ball, it's dramatically increased, and you have to come out and you need a good timing. And for this, to make a good punch with one fist or with 2 fists, this is something on this tournament, and was very positive to see goalkeepers are doing this. And for this, you need also this playing together, defender. That's why, Pablo, you're sitting here right on me. There is a defender and the goalkeeper, that they are not punching to each other, and that's why it was very good and very positive to see goalkeepers are coming out and are brave to punch the ball.
And there is another. Do you want to add something? Of course.
I would like to ask a question to Pascal. Do you think that the goalkeepers have been better protected in this tournament than before.
I think on the second topic, when Tom goes forward, the punches from a corner especially, punches from a corner, we knew all, there are a lot of training sessions needed to make a variation on free kicks. As Jürgen mentioned, he's a little bit disappointed. Me, myself, as a goalkeeper, former goalkeeper, I'm very happy to see that the goalkeepers were more protected on this tournament, especially from corner kicks. They were more protected. The strikers are not allowed anymore to be always next to you. You have at least to make one step space to come out and to make a good punch. A good punch, of course, we can keep going to analyze, is the punch good on the end or not? We are more on the topics right now that the goalkeepers are more protected on this tournament to make on the end this punch, and on the corner kicks was really great to see that the goalkeepers were very brave also, especially if you are so a lot of traffic in front of you in the box.
So they have more freedom to come out and punch the ball.
Correct. They have at least one step to do, and then to come with a punch. You see this very well on this tournament that the goalkeepers were able to do it.
Okay. Next one, we stay with the goalkeeping. The X block, one of the favorite topics of Pascal, the X block. Tom.
Yeah, and I suppose just to underline with data what Zubi was saying about the goalkeepers from the corners, you can see the proportion of time that a goalkeeper's made a punch from a corner has increased by over 8%. So just to underline the topic on the goalkeepers having more freedom and being able to make more punch interventions from corners. Lastly, on the goalkeepers, we've just looked at X blocks, and I'll leave Zubi to explain the technical detail behind the X block save. But we can see that in this tournament, compared to Russia and Qatar, goalkeepers are making more X blocks, and a higher proportion of goal preventions are coming from the X block save. It's something that we also saw last year at the Club World Cup in 2025, but it's a clear tactical or technical development for goalkeepers happening across the world.
Yes, X-block is another fantastic topic to talk from the goalkeeper's observation from our group here. X-block, you know, we mentioned here at FIFA an X-block, the one with the arm and with the legs spread out like a spider in front of you. We made this already 20 years ago. They are goalkeepers, they are used to this already before. But important is, to make an X-block, you need a timing on the right moment to make the right X-block. Not if you're shooting from 10 meters, I don't need to make an X-block in this situation. For an X-block, you need to be close. We are talking about around 3-4 meter maximum, then you can make an X-block. But not before the striker shoots the ball. No, in this moment when he shoots, you have to be in the X-block position. But now it's great to see that so many goalkeepers are using this trend. How to use an X-block is something very important. And also to see that there are goalkeeper coaches around the world who are ready to train and who are ready to explain exactly in this situation, you as a goalkeeper need to do an X-block, because the success is fantastic. If you are able to train your goalkeepers already in the younger stadium, this is something very important. And an X-block, you need to be brave. Everybody from you knows 2022, Emiliano Martinez in the final, 123rd minute against France, and he made this fantastic X-block save. And this is something you need to train. It's not easy, this technique. You need to train this, and you start with this already in the youth team.
And we feel all your enthusiasm on that topic, Zubi. That is one of your favorite topics as well. Last topic from our side, before we open to the Q&A, are the FIFA Power Rankings powered by Aramco, and of course, some considerations on the personal awards tomorrow. Of course, I mean, I'm not expecting now a short list here, Arsene, but we can say that these power rankings have been a success to measure the performance of the players.
Well, what we have explained until now is basically to explain why did the teams win or lose. But it was all based on collective trends inside the team. What we will present now is more rewarding the individual performances of the players in 3 different aspects. We wanted, we were especially focused in the recent years to develop a system that develops the trends in every player, the strengths in every player of attacking, and as well we wanted to highlight the creativity, because we feel in the modern game it's very important, and as well the defending.
Tom, you want to add something on that?
Yeah, if I could just add, so the FIFA Power Rankings were launched for FIFA World Cup 2026. They've been under 2 years of development. It comes from the football expertise of Arsene, of how we measure and monitor individual player performance. We rank players across 3 separate categories: attacking, creativity, and defending. And each player is given a score in each category, which is why you can see multiple players or the same player across 2 different categories. It comes straight from the football brains that we have internally, the knowledge, the understanding from the pitch, and it's supported by FIFA's enhanced performance data, with data science, with FIFA's enhanced football intelligence algorithms underpinning it, to give us a completely new, interesting and exciting lens on player performance. And as we move towards the final matches, it's something that we've been discussing a lot as a team, is how do we measure the impact of individual players and their performances on the tournament, and the FIFA Power Rankings has been a key aspect of our discussions in that regard.
Thank you very much, Tom. Anyone on the table who wants to share his opinion on the Power Rankings or some special performances? Not everyone at the same time, gentlemen? No? Okay, no. Then that's it from our part. These have been our topics, ladies and gents. So we start now with the Q&A. We have some minutes. Oh, everyone, rise it up. Yes, we have volunteers coming with microphones. Please, please, we speak about the topics we had right now. If you have any other question concerning the World Cup, please address your question to media@fifa.org as usual. You got the microphone. Say your name, say for whom the question is, and then if we need translations, of course, also the gentleman on the table, wait that the translation is done and then start to answer the question. Okay, let's start here. 3rd row here, the gentleman with the cap. No, he take the cap off, okay? Up to you, please.
Thank you so much. This is Sami Sahmoud from beIN Sports, and the question is to Mr. Arsene Wenger. Arsene, I want your thoughts about comparing the Qatar World Cup, comparing to this one in terms of logistics, traveling, recovery time for the teams, and the quality of football matches. Do you think in Qatar the teams were very close to the stadium, they didn't need to travel? In the US, some teams have managed to travel thousands of kilometers. I wonder if that had an effect on their game plans and their recovery time. And in terms of the match quality, did we see a much better quality in Qatar because of the proximity and because it was mid-season comparing to the end of the season? I can note one example from England. Declan Rice was running on empty for England. He didn't show the same level that he played with the Arsenal all over the season. Thank you so much.
Well, the logistics, of course, were completely different. And before the tournament, we were a bit anxious at FIFA that it could have an impact on the development of the game. I personally don't share your view because I feel that we had quality games here. And of course, in Qatar, you slept every night in the same bed. Not here. And, but again, that when you see Argentina and Spain, the 2 teams have grown during the tournament. So the movement they had to do did not affect their performances. And at the end of the day, it's always down to your quality and how much you want to win in the end. If you see the trophy and you think, I want to take this trophy home, you accept a lot of suffering. And that's what basically happened in this tournament. I believe as well, this tournament has shown that the gap between the teams, the big countries and the smaller countries, has been reduced down to the fact that many players play abroad, they come back, they have a knowledge of the game, and as well that you have seen small countries like Cabo Verde and others who have done extremely well, and that what people feared before the tournament is we had more teams, that it could be a disaster for some teams, and it was not the case. football develops very quickly in the world. Everybody works, information travels very quickly, and the players as well. They bring their knowledge back to their country, and that's why I believe that the quality of this tournament was very high.
Okay, I switch on that side. Please, the gentleman with the mic. Yeah.
Gilberto, prazer em revê-lo. Qual foi o ganho técnico de uma Copa do Mundo com 48 seleções? E se você vislumbra a possibilidade de ter um ganho técnico para uma próxima com 64?
Um prazer revê-lo novamente. Olha, foi super interessante ver, acho que as características de cada treinador, o que nós vimos, né, na estrutura de cada equipe, na parte tática, na parte técnica de cada equipe. E a gente nota também a qualidade de equipes que eram menos expressivas para uma Copa como essa. Mas que o próprio Arsene disse agora, muitos desses jogadores já estão jogando em outras competições, né, fora do país, na Europa principalmente, em várias ligas, então isso aumenta a qualidade. Mas quando vai afunilando, a gente vê as grandes equipes tendo uma diferença muito grande na qualidade técnica, né, dos seus jogadores, na parte individual e quando isso se junta ao coletivo. E para mim, acho que ficou visível, né, foi a qualidade da Espanha. Acho que a maneira como a estrutura da equipe, os jogadores jogando junto há muito tempo. Nós vemos um treinador que hoje está na seleção principal, mas ele estava nas seleções de base e veio fazendo essa transição dentro da seleção e hoje comanda o time que está jogando uma final de amanhã. Então, acho que a Espanha, para mim, acho que tem uma qualidade muito grande, mas ao mesmo tempo não podemos deixar de falar da qualidade do treinador da Argentina, que está tendo uma sequência de trabalho muito grande, uma Copa para outra, é a segunda final que ele está. Então temos que exaltar o trabalho maravilhoso que ele tem feito com a equipe.
Thank you, Gilberto. I see all the hands. We switch a bit from the left to the right.
Giovanni,
yes, please. Yes.
Further, I would say, of course, I agree completely with what Gilberto said, but how to use the individual rating of the players with what we have seen collectively. For example, when you see Spain is the team who wins the ball back quicker than everybody else, but when you look at the defensive individual rating, you see that you have 3 Spanish players at the top. So that shows you how that works well together. Spain is good collectively, but individually they are good at defending as well. Rodri is top of the list, and Spain is top of the list defending.
Thank you. Gentleman here in front.
Jeppe Elkjær from Danish media BT. The hydration breaks has been one of the main topics coming into this World Cup. And I just wanted to know if you have seen anything in your data that shows the effect of the hydration breaks. Does it improve player ability? Does it improve flow of the game?
No. Sometimes people didn't like it. And we have to analyze after the World Cup what is the impact. It didn't look to me that it changed the results of competitions, but we are here to serve people who watch football and will come to the conclusions after the competition. In some games it was really needed, and because we didn't want to make any difference between the way the games are handled, we decided at the start of a competition to do it. And we'll have a deep analysis after the competition.
We pass on this side. Yeah, here's the gentleman. Yeah, please.
Ok. Senhor Arsene, em português, Leonardo Oliveira, da Rádio Gaúcha. Nós vimos os tópicos aqui de mais intervenções do goleiro em cruzamentos para a área, os times jogando mais em bloco baixo, o aumento do tópico da velocidade, da top, né, velocidade top dos jogadores. Mas chegam à final, Mr. Arsene, 2 times que trabalham muito bem com a bola, que gostam de ter a bola. A Copa do Mundo ela é um congresso a cada 4 anos. O senhor não imagina que para os próximos 4 anos o futebol terá, assim como a Argentina e a Espanha, um cuidado maior em ter a bola, em trabalhar mais com a bola, ter mais posse de bola, em vez de um jogo mais vertical? Obrigado.
Gigi, sorry, my translation didn't work well.
No, I said that in this time, as we are going to see two teams who like the possession, and they like to have it, and you believe that in the next cycle, for example, some teams did not play on a different style and more on a low block, we are going to see them, the other teams also like Spain and Argentina, to have the possession as they like to do for the next edition, for example.
What is your opinion?
Well, this is, I think it's going to be a challenge for some of them, because at some stages come to the quality of the players, the way they are training, the way they like to structure their games, But then there is always, the coach work behind of it, the way he wants to approach the games. And we have seen some of the teams, they try at some stage, I'll give you an example. For me, it was very interesting to see Cabo Verde. Now, the first experience here, but when they have the ball, they just want to play. They defend when they have to, but immediately when they got it back, they have a structure, how to attack the opponent. And this, for me, was fascinating to see.
You have to find a good balance between possession and progression. And you see in some teams their main worry was not to lose the ball. And of course, when you have to keep the ball with in your mind that sharpness to play forward, to be incisive. Some teams manage to do that. Some have a useless possession because they didn't find that opening of the opponent.
We have the lady in the second row there. Then please, we have 5 minutes. I promise to get this one, and the lady. Sorry for all the rest. Thank you very much.
Thank you. My name is Stephanie. The question would be for Mr. Wenger. Regarding the hydration break, what is your opinion? Did that somehow made better the rhythm of the game because they could fix tactical situations in the middle of the full time? And for Mr. Klinsmann, I would like to ask you real quick, why do you think we have an increase on the amount of goals outside of the box? What would be the reason for that? Thank you.
Well, as I mentioned, we'll just leave Arsene the second part. It's definitely a fact because of so many teams going in a low block in the box, and then you kind of run out of ideas because there's no space to get in between. And then obviously now using shots from 20, 22 yards, giving it a try, increased it, doubled the amount of goals from the outside the box. That's the simple reason for that.
Are you happy with the answer? Good.
I'm happy to give the second part of the question to Arsene.
The balls looked very fast.
I have an opinion, but
shots, they delivered rockets from outside the box, really. The ball, boom. The quality of the shots was great in this tournament. Hydration break, I answered already, that we will analyze after the competition, make a deep checking point on, in many games, in some games, especially when the stadiums were covered, people were not happy with it. But at the start of the competition, it was decided to do it for everybody, and then medically it was needed in many games, but we'll have not come to a conclusion yet, but I promise you we will get one.
So the last three, the gentleman here first, yeah.
Mr. Arsene Wenger, nice to meet you. My name is Fábio Azevedo of Flashcore Brazil. What did you think in the timeout?
Timeouts?
Yes, during the game.
Did we have timeouts during the game?
You mean some hydration break.
The hydration, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, this is the third question now on the hydration break, guys. So we should pay a bit attention to not ask the same question. Sorry for that. Passing to you, please. The gentleman there.
Já foi feito duas vezes a mesma pergunta do tempo de hidratação. Foi feita duas vezes. Essa é a terceira vez.
Pardon.
Okay.
So the gentleman there, please. Yep, yes, thank you. And then the lady, and then the last one. This is the last one there.
Hi, my name is Roman Lafont from newspaper L'Equipe, and my question is for Gilberto. We saw in the power ranking that the best defensive player was a midfielder, Rodri, And as a former midfielder, I was wondering which aspect of Rodri was impressing you the most.
Midfielders know how to defend, you know that. Well, I think Rodri, apart from we can see he's a technical player. He reads the game very well and he positions himself in the right place when they have the ball, to detect, make the transition from one side to another. And he always looks like a comfortable position because he knows how to position himself according to whoever he plays against. The structure of the team and the quality of the players around him helps a lot because once he gets the ball, he has somebody, run in the space where he can give it and position himself again. And also, when they are defending, they are always in a position together with the other guys, just to make the protection. It's important when you have a central midfielder who got a very good technique, know how to detect the game. It helps a lot because at the back you know that you have somebody to support you.
Thank you, Gilberto. The very last one, the lady, please.
Okay, thank you. So my name is Gabriela Alcibar. I'm from El Canal del Fútbol, Ecuador. This is a question for Mr. Klinsmann. We have seen the difference in statistics, for example, speedness, between Qatar and this World Cup. Do you think the altitude in Mexico City and Guadalajara maybe played a role also in these numbers? I guess you knew the altitude when you command U.S. national team also, so could that have played a role also in the numbers, in the statistics? Thank you.
I mean, related to the amount of games, we had, obviously tomorrow we have the 104th game. I don't think necessarily that it plays a big role. I mean, does it have on that game day when you play in Mexico City or in Guadalajara a little bit less, obviously? It influences the game for sure, but in a total amount of over 100 games, I think the margin might be very, very, very small. But when you play in that altitude, and as coaching for the United States over many years there, it is brutal. I mean, that's for me personally, the match of the tournament really was Mexico against England. And I don't know how England made it really out of that game. I mean, it's been a miracle what they did on that day because their physical demand and more than 2,000 meter altitude against a fantastic Mexican side has been outstanding. And for me, that was the match of the tournament. We'll see tomorrow, obviously. But I think over the stretch, over more than 100 games, the difference is minimal.
Arsene, something to add at the end as a final word?
No, thank you, everybody. We were happy to share with you what we have found out in this tournament, but we all hope together that it will finish well tomorrow afternoon. We'll have a great game and let the best win.
Thank you very much, gentlemen on the table. Thank you very much for the interest. If you want to take the picture now, please, the gentlemen stand here on the stage for a group picture. And let's enjoy the last two games of this World Cup. Thank you very much for your interest, ladies and gentlemen. Also at home, goodbye and see you.
Watch.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Eu tenho que passar por ele. Deixa eu só ver. Gil, Giovanni.